أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم يا فتاح يا عليم افتح لنا فتحا قريبا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. um, Inshallah I will be recording about 10 to 15 minute sessions to try to complete the book that we had started. So inshallah, we had stopped at the end of session 6 at this chapter. We were going to begin this chapter. So inshallah, let's start here, making waqf at the end of a word. So what we have already covered in the first 6 sessions that are on available on Recite with Love's channel on YouTube is what is the importance of waqf. We have talked about the different categories of waqf in terms of meaning. So we have talked about the where you can stop part, but now we are going to talk about, well, when you actually make that waqf, when you know that, all right, this is where I'm going to stop, how do you stop there? That there are 2 aspects concerning waqf: where to make waqf and how to make waqf. The topic of how to make waqf is further divided into 2 categories: how to make waqf according to the end of a word, and how to make waqf according to the unique orthography of the Quran. Each of these will be discussed in a separate chapter, inshallah. So this chapter, we will simply talk about how to stop at the end of a word, and we will not really be talking about stopping according to or contrary to the rest of the Quran. I also want to just remind that, I will also want to remind whoever's listening, inshallah, that, this book wasn't written specifically for, waqf according to Hafs, right? It mainly focuses on the riwayah of Hafs because that is the most common riwayah today. But it is written, essentially so that students even of qira'at, for example, will understand the issues, how the issues of waqf in qira'at fit into waqf and ibtida, right? So we will be discussing other riwayas and other qira'at as well. As for the waqf at the end of a word, Ibn al-Jazari rahmatullahi alayhi writes that although the Arabs had numerous ways of stopping at the ends of words, the Qurra have employed a total of 9 ways. Okay, so our concern is these 9 ways, and that we will employ one or more of them depending on which qira'ah or riwayah we are reciting in. So although there are 9 ways, not all 9 will be applied, for example, in the riwayah of Imam Hafs. While some of them are specific to certain readings only, others are applied by all the qurra, and we will briefly go through each one of them. But just remember, inshallah, it can be a little confusing if we are only thinking of the riwayah of Imam Hafs. So, for example, ilhaq is to attach a ha sakt, basically like a ha sakina, to the end of certain words when stopping on them. We will talk about this more in the next chapter, inshallah, because these has are not written in the Quran, right? They are just being said in waqf. This is done usually by Imam Yaqub, right? He's the one who does this the most. And this is one of the ways of stopping, even though Imam Hafs is not using it. Ithbat, to add or read a letter in waqf that would not be read if the reciter were continuing from that word. Okay, so this is examples of this are where there are yas which are read when waqf is made on them, but are not read when continuing. Okay, or it can even be an example of, for example, a letter of mad that is read because we stopped on it, but then when we continue, it's not read, right? So, for example, قال الحمد, right? It's lam alif, and that alif is dropped when we continue because of the sukoon on the lam, but when we stop, it will be قال. Okay? Hadaf, to drop a ya when making waqf that would have been read in wasl. For example, making waqf on the word ataniya, or by reading the noon with the sukoon. So atan, right? This is one of the options for stopping on this word in the riwayah of Imam Hafs. Idgham, when ya or waw that was originally a hamza merges into what comes before it. This does not occur in the riwayah of Imam Hafs, but does occur in the riwayah of Imam Hisham and the qira'ah of Imam Hamza. For example, for Imam Hisham and Imam Hamza, when stopping on the word shay, the hamza will change into a ya and then merge into the ya before it, resulting in it being read as shay during waqf. So it's like ya mushaddad. So this will be waqf bil idgham. More details regarding this are found in the chapter of Waqf on Hamza for Imams Hamza and Hisham in the books of Qira'at. So of course, we're not, trying to teach how to make Waqf for Imam Hamza and Imam Hisham. That's something that we would learn in the books of Qira'at. But we are trying to place those discussions within the context of the science of Waqf. Naql, the transferring of the vowel on a Hamza to the second letter before it during waqf. This too only occurs when stopping on a final hamza in the riwayah of Imam Hisham and the qira'ah of Imam Hamza. For example, when stopping on the word al-mar'i, the kasra from the hamza will be transferred onto the ra and the hamza itself will be dropped, right? So it'll become al-mar'i. More details regarding this again are found in books of qira'at, specifically when we're talking about waqf for Imam Hamza and Imam Hisham. Then waqf bil ibdal, when a letter is changed into another letter during waqf. This applies to the changing of the noon in fathatain to an alif. So for example, han is read as ha. So that noon in the tanween is changing to an alif. Or ta marbuta changing into a ha. So lumazah is as opposed to, when we continue, we say lumazatin. We read that as a ta. So that's called waqf bil ibdal because one letter is changing into another in waqf. Then waqf bil iskan. This is the one that we, learn even when we're little, right? Is waqf bil iskan. I mean, we do learn waqf bil ibdal too, but waqf bil iskan is a more common form of waqf, right? Waqf bil iskan is stopping on a word by dropping the final vowel and replacing it with a sukun. No vowel is alluded to at all, whether by retaining part of a vowel or a particular movement of the lips. And if that sounds like, wait, why are these two specific reasons being mentioned, that there's no vowel being alluded to, or etc., we'll see two other ways of waqf in which we do allude to a vowel, right? Or we do move our lips in a particular way. And so it's just saying that waqf bil iskan is literally when there's nothing but a sukoon on that letter. This applies when stopping on a word whose final vowel is a fatha, kasra, kasratain, or dhamma, dhammatain. So what's missing here is fathatain. Okay? This is applied by all the qurra and is considered the principal method of making waqf. And why is it considered the principal method of making waqf? And there's multiple reasons for that. This is because waqf is the opposite of ibtida. Just as ibtida must be made with a vowel, with a haraka, right? You can't start from a sukoon. Waqf is made with sukoon. So because waqf and ibtida are opposites, haraka and sukoon are opposites as well. And that is why, that is one reason that's given. Haraka and sukoon are opposites of each other. And so that's why waqf al-iskan is a primary method. Another reason is that waqf literally means to cut off or leave something. In this case, it is the vowel that is being dropped or left off. So essentially, waqf bil-iskan is the one that matches the definition of waqf more. That's the second reason that's being given. A third reason that is given is that the purpose of waqf is for the reciter to rest or take a break, and waqf bil-iskan allows for this the most. Because in all of the other forms of waqf, there's something more that the reciter has to do, even though they have made waqf, right? But waqf bil-iskan, there isn't. Lastly, unlike the other methods of waqf, waqf bil-iskan applies to all three vowels and is applied by all the qurra. So as we saw, waqf bil-ilhaq, waqf bil-idgham, and we said, oh, those are for those specific qurra, right? But the waqf bil-iskan is for everybody. Everybody applies it, and it applies to all three vowels, fatha, kasra, and dhamma. Therefore, it is the most widely applicable method of making waqf. Okay? If you want to see where these are coming from, you can see the references here, inshallah. The explanations of why it's a principal form of waqf. The actual statement of it being the principal method of making waqf is Ibn al-Jazari, rahmatullah alayh. While most readers will be familiar with waqf bil-iskan, there are a few things to keep in mind. Waqf on words that carry a permanent sukoon, such as one had, are also known as waqf bis-sukoon. This is because no other form of waqf can apply to them. Okay, so essentially, you're not putting a sukoon on one had, right? It already has a sukoon. And another way in which this is a little bit different is that nothing else can apply to it. Waqf bil-rawm can't, waqf bil-ishmam can't, right? It really only is sukoon that can be read out there. Also, when making waqf bil-iskan or on a mushaddad letter, the reciter must remember that only the vowel is dropped, not the shadda. The shadda on the letter must still be emphasized, such as when stopping on the words fatal, hajj, haqq, right? You still have to make the shadda clear, inshallah. Lastly, when stopping on a letter that would merge or be hidden during wasl, both idgham and ikhfa will be prevented. For example, when stopping on tha, in the following phrase, the idgham between the tha and the dhal will be prevented. So if you say yalhath, that's, the idgham is prevented. If you continue, then it's yalhath dhalik. Okay? So I hope, inshallah, that is clear. Essentially, what it's saying is that if, for example, somebody is wondering, well, there's an idgham, so can I actually make waqf before it? Or if there's ikhfa after this, can I make waqf before it? Yes, you can. And if you do make the waqf, and there will be no idgham, and there will be no ikhfa. Okay. As a reminder, when the last letter of the word being stopped on, mawquf alayh, is sakin and is immediately preceded by a letter of mad, Mad adad al-sukun will apply, and the reciter may stretch the letter of mad for 2, 4, or 6 counts. So examples would be like the word Ar-Rahim, right? Basically, at all, the endings of Surah Al-Fatiha, right? And the endings of a lot of surahs have, the second letter, the letter that you're giving sukun to has a letter of mad before it. Similarly, when the last letter of the word being stopped on is sakin and is immediately preceded by a waw or ya of leen, mad al-leen will apply, and the reciter may stretch the letter of leen for 2, 4, or 6 counts. This reminder will help the reader to better understand the multiple options that are created when making waqf on a particular word. These will be explained in a table at the end of this chapter. Okay, so inshallah, we're going to stop here, and then we will resume again from the discussion on waqf bil-rawm, inshallah. Also, I want to remind everyone that you can send me your questions at recitewithlove@gmail.com. This book is downloadable from www.recitewithlove.com. If you would like to buy a hard copy, you can buy it at Amazon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.